Spicer, Minnesota, population 900. And for a town this size, they've come up with something pretty spectacular here. They think that Spicer is nicer, so to celebrate, they've come up with this ice castle. Last winter, some of the folks in this town spent 3 days pulling a 17-ton truck out of Green Lake after it had fallen through the ice. And so they said, what do we do for fun this year? That's when it was decided they would pull a couple thousand blocks of ice from the lake and pile them in the shape of an ice castle. It took them just under a week to do it. So it isn't quite as spectacular as St. Paul's Ice Mansion last year, but despite the size difference, there are a lot of similarities between the two. Both were built from blocks of ice harvested from a nearby lake by machines and men who used to saw and sell ice for a living. In Spicer, he is Carl Engwall.
But this is what we did for refrigeration a few years ago.
A few years ago?
A few years
ago. Like many, many years ago.
The construction of the Ice Palace in St. Paul was threatened by an unusual January thaw. And the Spicer Castle drips in spring-like temperatures, too. The St. Paul Palace was built by volunteer construction workers who labored in love, as was the Spicer Castle, by men who have love and pride in their town.
It makes a lot of people realize we do have a nice little town here.
In St. Paul, people came from all over to see this magnificent structure. And they're showing up in Spicer as well.
And we just thought this afternoon we're going to go over and take a look at it. This way we don't need to go to St. Paul.
And that's true. You're a little late for St. Paul's.
But the biggest similarity of all is that both give you goosebumps when the lights come on at night. There is much emotion attached to all of this. And to those of us who felt very close to that darn palace last year and felt a sense of loss when it was gone, take pleasure in the birth of this newborn, shall we say, son of Ice Palace. And even though St. Paul's contribution to the Ice Kingdom had to be destroyed by the hand of man, there is a sense of relief in knowing that this one will stand until Mother Nature herself decides it's time for this young castle to revert back to where he came, into the waters of Green Lake.